Welcome to Monday through Sunday. I'm Logan.
I'm Sanam.
And I'm Lane. We're best friends, the founders of Blossom Brands, and the hosts of this podcast.
We can't wait to take you behind the scenes of running a 7-figure agency with our best friends.
We're sharing our mistakes, our lessons learned, and giving you tactical advice to build the career, the business, and the relationships you dream of, and a life you don't need a weekend to escape from.
So let's get balanced and let's get down to business. Welcome to the show.
Welcome back to this week's episode of Monday through Sunday, and happy 2024, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I am sitting here live with Lane Catherine at the tail end of her maternity leave in our Dallas office, recording an episode to discuss our 2024 resolution approach, because Lane and I are taking very different approaches to our 2024 goals this year. And we thought it'd be interesting to walk through that together, because I feel like we are normally very reversed. And now we are taking different approaches that is not typical to how we do things normally. So I think it'll be a good conversation for all of us.
Yes, I think it's going to be great to kind of dive into 2024, take a look back at 2023, what worked, what didn't, what we want to bring into this next year. And it's our first time recording as a duo.
I know. I literally feel like you and I have been doing this. Like, you are my work wife for life, because we were working at the agency for 2 years together. And then we started this 5.5 years together. And now we are sitting here recording a podcast together.
First time.
Literally. Hello. How are we?
How are you doing today?
I'm good. I slept really well last night. I slept in your guest room, and I did get to, as soon as I opened my eyes, hear the glorious sounds of Evan Jacob Lepo in the morning, just like making his cute little noises. And when I tell you guys, this baby smell is truly like a drug for my body. Like, I go in and I get a sniff and I'm energized for the day. Like, that baby smell, you just can't replicate it.
You are the only person that I've ever heard speak about baby smells. And I just love your obsession with it. You're like, oh my gosh, he smells so good. And I'm like, I don't know if I've ever heard anybody talk about a baby smell the way that you do. And I really appreciate it about you.
2 sniffs to start the day off on a good note.
That's so funny.
Before we get started, I would love to kick us off with our personal and professional best.
Okay.
Do you have one?
So I have a professional best for the first time in many, many months, I feel like, since I have not really been in the professional mindset. But yesterday, I feel like was the first time that I've had a clear head about thinking about work. So yesterday we did this leadership meeting about 2023 going into 2024. And Sanam led the whole first part about Blossom Brands and our goals for the year and looking back at 2023. And then Logan did the same thing for Monday through Sunday. And I feel like I was just re-energized by work. Yeah. This past couple of months, the second half of my maternity leave, I have just been really stressed about work, because just the transition of jumping back into work and figuring out how do I be a mom and how do I work and how do the two worlds intertwine? It's just been a lot for me. I thought that I'd be so excited to jump back into work and just ready for that transition. And I feel so the opposite. And it's been a lot on me mentally. But yesterday I was work can just feel like work. It doesn't have to have this emotion tied to it that is, oh, I'm giving up something to start working again. It can just feel like work. And it felt like that for the first time. So I was really excited about it.
I'm so happy to hear that. I just know that's been weighing on you so heavily over the past few weeks. And to know that you were able to get this energy reset, especially happening at the beginning of the new year. Everyone knows I love a good arbitrary reset. Mm-hmm. And then also just happening right as your maternity leave is transitioning, I think was perfect timing.
Also, it made me realize that you need to be leading all of these meetings and delivering decks, because you just owned that. It was your
Thanks.
It came so naturally to you. You just got up and you're all right, guys, we knew nothing about what you were going to present. I knew nothing about what I should expect going into that meeting. And I was Sanam, just mic drop.
I was just feeling insanely motivated. And I know we had just gone through the holiday hiatus period. So I'm okay, after the holiday hiatus, I know we're all eager to dive back in and kind of do things. Yeah. And then also you coming off of mat leave and us being together for the first time where we're not in a rush.
Yeah.
I was we have to really capitalize on this time and make sure that we're making the most of it. And I feel we're able to do that. So I'm really happy about it. And then in the next episode that we're recording today, Logan and I will be recapping that entire meeting to discuss the framework. So for other businesses that are wanting to do 2023 recaps, 2024 planning, it's really hard to figure out from ground zero where to do it. And we want to share our framework in case it is helpful.
And I think that's something that we have struggled with in the past, because a lot of times the three of us meet up and we're like, okay, we're going to do a big brainstorm. We're going to really like think through what happened in 2023, think through what we want to happen in 2024, put our minds together and just like get creative. But then we get there and we have like no structure and we kind of talk in circles. And at the end of it, we're like, well, did we really get out of this what we wanted to?
Yeah.
And I think coming into it with like a plan and doing a lot of the legwork up front before we all got together to discuss it made it so much more beneficial for all of us and just more streamlined. And we all left that meeting being like, this was so positive and we're so excited to like jump back in and kick off 2024.
We really are so excited.
Go team.
Go team. Okay. So on to a mix of like personal and professional goals. So I feel like the best way to go about 24 planning, which we both agree, is doing 23 reflections. You have to understand how you ended the year to know how you want to take away the wins and stray away from the losses.
I have some 2023 questions for you then.
Get off.
Okay. So what would you say 2023 was the year of for you?
I feel like it was such a year of growth.
Okay.
We went to the same activity with my family.
Growth in which categories of your life?
I just feel like 2023, I started the year off in a very low place and I got out of that low place come spring. And I feel like I was just soaring for so long and it felt really good. I felt like it was the first time I really practiced boundaries, which I never had boundaries or I was never good at them. I was able to stray away from my people pleasing tendencies, which made me start to learn like what I liked and what I didn't like. I touched about this on the habits episode, but like at the end of 22, I realized I didn't know what I wanted for myself. I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know what I didn't like. Like I just felt like this insane sense of like identity confusion.
Yeah.
And I feel like I brought that energy into the year, but then doing these exercises of just like trying new hobbies, placing boundaries, really sitting in the stillness, I feel like helped me figure out all of those things about myself little by little, piece by piece. It's a very slow and steady process.
Yeah.
But I was so much happier. And I knew that I was actually happy because I was also in the midst of traveling nonstop for bachelorettes, for work, for like so many different event type of situations where normally those things would drain me. I'd get sick, but I was totally okay. I was totally fine. I was still able to practice my balance. And so it was a big challenge of like growth for me that year.
Okay. So it was the year of growth. What were some of your highs? Like when you think back to all of 2023, like what are the key moments, the key highlights that stand out for you?
I would say joining my women's group. I started that in January. And so that was a full year of doing it. And women's group is like essentially group therapy, but like also not. It's just like women that come together and we talk about specific topics every week, but then we're also so invested in each other's personal lives. And the connection is already 10 times closer because you are talking about such heavy and deep things right off the bat.
Yeah.
I love my women's group. I would say I really challenged myself and met so many new friends this year.
I love that.
Which was so fun. Like just meeting friends organically.
But I'm still your best friend, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Absolutely. You're like my sister.
Just checking.
And I would say I did a lot of like figuring out what I liked, as I mentioned, which included realizing that I just love to bop in LA. Like I love
the queen of bopping.
Literally giving my big tote bag. And
Can you make that your Instagram bio?
I really want to brand it.
Okay, the queen of bopping.
Like, you know how Maggie Sellers is Hot, Smart, Rich? I'm just like, I literally perfect the balance of the bop.
You slay the bop.
I slay the bop. Like I will literally go do therapy in Topanga. Then I will go to the Santa Monica proper, work in the chicest lobby, order myself a matcha or Diet Coke, depending if I'm having a little crazy day. And then with French fries, work on my newsletter. And then I'll like go to beach tennis right after that, hang out with my friends. And then if we're doing an event at June Shine after, go get a hard kombucha and then pick up a heavy-handed burger and go home. And I'm out literally from like 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And I'm just like, wow, like what a soul nourishing day.
We love this for you. You inspired me to bop the other day because like you were out and about bopping. And I was like, I knew I had to get on my computer and do some accounting work for like the start of the new year. And I was like, I just don't want to do this at home, but I have a baby I need to take care of. So I can't just just leave my house whenever I want. So I was like, Evan, we're going to try to bop together. Let's go to a coffee shop. Let's see if you can
Where did you
nab
guys go?
to Merit, the new coffee shop, right? In White Rock. And
Cute.
it was such good vibes. And we got a good like 50 minutes of him sleeping so I could work out of the house. And it was really fun.
Our Instagram followers saw it on stories first.
'Tis true.
It was the chicest setup, which is like insane because like you had a child with you.
We try.
Are you done asking me questions? Can I ask them back to you?
Yes, that was my fire drill of questions for you.
Okay, what was your word of the year?
My year, I'd say 2023.
Did you ask for the word of the year or like the theme?
Just like what was it the year of for you?
What was it the year of for you?
2023, I'd say for me was like the year of family in multiple different ways. So obviously I expanded my family. I was pregnant 9 months and postpartum 3 months. So like it was really the year of Evan because like from January to October, I was pregnant and then had my first 3 months postpartum. So that was obviously like the big family moment, but also I was pregnant at the same time as my sister and my sister-in-law. So I feel like that was just a really special family moment. I hosted 3 holidays at my house in Dallas with my family and my husband's family, which was super fun and just like a new thing I'd never done before.
You were like literally hosting every 5 seconds this
and
year.
then I had like I went to Chicago and spent a lot of time there this summer and just got to spend a lot of quality time with family, some cousins. I went to the Taylor Swift concert with my sister, which was
Epic.
like honestly one of my top 5 moments of my life. So that was just like a big bonding moment for the two of us. And then I got to go to Florida and visit my grandmother before like she was sick and she passed away. And we got to spend some like really good quality time together, my mom and me and her.
The timing of you seeing your grandmother. Also, didn't you share your baby's name with her as a secret?
Yes.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah. So there was just like a lot of beautiful family moments. And I would say that like for probably 5+ years before this year, family's just not been my ultimate priority. I feel like I've been very like self-focused, not in a bad way, but just like really focused on like myself, where I want to be, what I want to be doing, how to get there and things like that. And this year I feel like with trying to grow my own family, it made me really like want to spend more time with my other family members and invest in that area of my life. And I feel like I did that for the first time in a really like intentional way. And I think just also like living through my pregnancy and having a really positive pregnancy after having like a really negative pregnancy the year before, it was filled with a lot of emotion from a positive and just emotion in so many different ways. And actually emotion wise, I feel like this whole year I've like felt so many new emotions. And it was something I was talking about in therapy yesterday. And I was talking about how like when I get a sense of emotion, I feel like I need to suppress it. And recently I've been noticing that a lot of my emotions are positive and I just like don't feel heavy emotion, like where it brings me to tears in a positive way normally ever. And it's happened a lot this year. And she was like, you need to try to identify what the emotions are that you're feeling. So we like pulled out the emotions wheel. Have you ever looked at that? It's like a color wheel of all of these different emotions. And so you can like identify which emotion you're feeling. And she helped me do that. And we I chose one that I feel like is a representation of like this emotion that I'm feeling. Cause it's like happy, sad emotion, but like not sad.
Do you want to share what the
And
class?
It was, awe was the word. And
That's
I was
a
like,
good one.
yeah. And I was like, it's my in awe emotion.
That's a really good one.
So yeah.
I would have never picked an awe.
Yeah. And because I was like, I don't know, just, it's like this feeling that I don't really know how to describe because I like haven't really felt that type of emotion before. And not like ever, but just not often. And so, yeah. Just a fun little tidbit.
That's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
And so I have a little exercise for the audience. If you're like, I haven't really done reflections on 2023, what is the most effective way to do it? Obviously, you can just like go back in your mind and be like, okay, these are the top things I did, the things that brought me the most joy, the things I want to keep doing, etc. But the way that Sanam and I both did this year, I thought was really fun and unique. So I'm going to challenge everybody to look back at their camera roll from 2023 and specifically go to your photos on your phone, go to this search button and type in 2023 January. And then all of your photos will pop up. You can press see all and scroll through them and select and come up with what your highlights from January were. Do the same thing throughout all of the months. And then I did that on my iPad, and then I went through and highlighted the ones that stood out to me from each month that were my my big moments of the year. And it was just a really fun exercise. And I think something
it's really eye-opening because you forget.
Yeah, exactly. There were so many things where I was like, that was so special. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
And I think that I try to keep those memories from journaling. And I forget that, you have so many memories in your photo album that aren't the ones that you post on things, but that are just something you take a random picture of, because it sparks joy. And it was a fun exercise. And I think everybody should go do that for the year.
I also want to mention, with us talking about our reflections, you and I each gave 3 examples of things that were highlights for us this year, but none of them were work.
I know.
Which is,
I was thinking about
really
that when I was doing it as well. And this was a huge work year for us. With launching our podcast, rebranding our agency, there was so many big moments. Our work retreats, we did so many great things. And the fact that those obviously
are special in their own ways.
Special, but we both feel like our underlying best moments were not work related, I think just shows that we have a very multifaceted life right now, both of us, and we've worked really hard on that, and we have the freedom to be able to do those things and to be able to really prioritize our personal life by having a professional life that fuels us is really special.
I'm an Enneagram 3, so as an achiever, I always put so much weight into my career success, and it's really cool to be able to look back and realize my personal life really took precedence this year.
I think this is probably the first year for you in a long time where your professional goals weren't your priority and you didn't carry so much weight in your happiness and your purpose.
So true. Now, diving back into 2024 or 2023 reflection specifically, one thing that we did also, I don't know if you did actually, but I did, after going through each of the months, was going through all the different categories of your life. So love, career, friendships, health, all of those categories that you would find and deem to be important
from last year,
and go into each of the categories and note which habits tied to those categories that you want to stop doing, continue doing, and start doing in 2024. It helps you kind of create the foundation, again, putting that bow on all of those 2023 reflections, to then set you up to really dive into having a clear head for knowing what you need for 24.
Definitely. So I think the first step is to identify, do you already have your big goals for the year? Are you okay, I want to get a new job. I want to get married. Or are you I have a lot of different priorities. I don't know where my main goals are. If you don't have those big goals, do exactly what Sanam just said. Start with, okay, what are my main 3 to 5 categories in my life? Where do I want to invest my time and my energy into? Is it work? Is it friendship? Is it family? Is it spirituality? Is it there's all these different things that it could be. So start there. And then for each of those, look back at last year and be what do I want to start doing that I haven't been doing? What do I want to stop doing that I have been doing? And what do I want to continue doing? So that is, I'd say, the best way to approach it if you don't already have those big goals that you're working towards.
So true.
Did you have anything specifically in your 2023 reflections that you want to either start, stop, or continue doing?
I had so many things written down, but naturally none of them are coming to me right now. Yeah. But I will say, after I did that exercise, when I went into my 2024 goal writing, I broke it into different categories, mainly just Blossom, Monday through Sunday, and then all things personal. My personal was double the length of each of the other ones. But I was just able to more easily write out and figure out what those were versus taking the time to sit, stare into space, think. It was just very clear. A lot of them was I really want to spend more time with my nephew. I spent a lot of time with him this year, but as he's getting older and starting to register things, I want to be more present in his life. And I also want to spend more time with my mom, one-on-one. I feel like I've been spending time with her just through family activities, but I want more one-on-one time with her. So for example, her and I were talking about how she's going to come up to LA. We're going to go to the Palisades Village together. Cute. And just do things that are very much in our nature to do together. obviously my dating life. I made so much progress in 2023. I went on way more dates than I could ever imagine. And I read the book Attach, and it really, as I thought I was always this like secure attachment style. And then I read the book and I'm like, oh no, I'm the most effed up one. Like I am anxious.
What's the most effed up one?
Anxious avoidant.
Okay.
It's like there's anxious, there's avoidant, there's secure, then there's the really effed up people. No, just kidding. Like you guys aren't effed up if you're anxious avoidant, but I am anxious avoidant, and it means that you have avoidance tendencies and you have really big anxiety tendencies, which I have both. But I would also say in other situations, I have more secure tendencies, and this can change over time.
Yeah.
But the book was basically saying for avoidant people, which I'm heavily avoidant, specifically in my dating life, I would say my personal relationships is where my anxiety comes in.
Okay.
It was saying that to just go on very frequent dates, because then you have less time to analyze.
And you really did that. You made yourself like sick or tired or whatever it is. You're like, I set myself up to go on this date and I'm going to do it because I said I was going to. I don't want to. This guy's going to be a fob. I don't even like him, but I'm going to do it.
Oh my God, the fobs.
Do you want to explain what a fob is for those that don't know?
I am Persian. I like dating brown men, and they're just like straight from their country. And like, listen,
they take pictures in front of their Mercedes. Like
that's what the Persian ones specifically, like where they literally have a photo leaning against their white car and their stupid Hermes logo belt. Like I literally cannot. It's so gross. But I did it. I went on so many dates. I learned about what I liked, what I didn't like. And you think you always know these things, but as you date, you really just learn more. And I feel like it really helped me get over my avoidant attachment tendencies.
And you, I feel like, got some good strategies as to how to make sure that you're avoiding the fob up front.
Yes, that is an issue. Oh my God. Do you remember that one guy that we met at the Dallas coffee shop?
Oh my God. They're like, what was he? A doctor?
He was a dentist.
A dentist.
Forever scarred.
So wait, what happened?
Okay. Let me recap for the class.
Yeah, thank you.
So Lynn and I were working at the Starbucks in West Village in Dallas. We were just doing, it was like way back in 2019.
You hadn't talked to this guy before. We just like thought he was cute, right?
We saw cute guy sitting in the corner. Lane goes, he's your type. And I'm like,
he was like in scrubs or something?
Yeah, he was in scrubs, just like, you know, dark features.
Yeah.
And I was like, this man is my type.
Yeah.
And so then
we walk out.
No. You're skipping a step.
Okay.
We were just working, and then he drops his computer or drops his credit card as he's like walking to get a coffee. And I go, sir, you dropped your credit card. And he looks at me and he goes, oh, thank you. And then Lane goes, he's so cute for you. And I'm like, I know. And then he goes to the bathroom and he's like, can you watch my stuff? And I was like, happily. So then I watch his stuff. He comes back, and then Lane and I leave. And then I'm like, Lane, like, this guy is beautiful.
I'm
and
like,
she was
we need to go give him
your
phone
business
number.
card now. So I give her my business card, and she goes, my friend thinks you're cute. Here's her card. And we got so excited. He texted me 2 days later. This man was a fob.
He was a fob.
We didn't know.
And how did we figure that out again? Was it just by stalking him, or did you like meet up with him?
Well, I don't know what came
first.
first. I did go on a date with him. I don't know what came first, but basically Kieran, my other friend in Dallas, she
found him on Facebook or something.
Digging on Facebook and found his old school photos from Iran that were just, I swear, could have been mistaken as Borat. Like confusing. Like it was bad. It was so bad. So basically that was my very sad situation. But like, I'm so glad you were there, because everyone was like, if his Facebook was that bad, how did this even come about? And I'm like, Lane Catherine was there.
He was very beautiful in person.
We said 2 sentences in person that we didn't catch the fob energy.
Yeah, we did not.
So you always have to put these, like, you have to front load the prerequisites before you allow yourself to go on a date. Anyways. Do you have any 2024 goals that you specifically want to touch on?
I am conflicted about my 2024 goals.
Oh yeah, we were talking about this last night.
Yeah.
I feel like you and I talked about how we're taking a very different approach.
Yeah. So I am normally someone that's like all over my goals. I'm like, I know exactly what I'm working towards. I always have. And when I think about it, I am like, I have spent the past 2 years of my life trying to get to the point where I'm at like right now. And I feel like I'm at that moment where you kind of get to the top of the hill and then you look around and no, not the hill of cringe. But you look around and you're like, okay, now what? And I think that's a scary place for me to be in because I really like the grind and the like working towards something in the process. And while I feel like I'm in my like most happiest state, it feels really scary to be like, okay, I don't know what I'm working towards now. Just because obviously with work, we've gotten to a great place. With my personal life, having a baby, starting a family, this is really where I've wanted to get to. And I think I'm really challenging myself to not put pressure on myself to have these big goals for the year, and really to have my big goal to be kind of taking a step back and grounding myself and taking things like week by week and setting like small goals to keep myself grounded and in a good place and feeling like I am navigating this chapter that's a little bit different because I never know what to expect in life right now. It's like my whole life changes every week because, we have a new schedule. He does something new. I have to figure it out. Like it's just always different and I can't anticipate it. So I'm just trying to take a step back and stay grounded this year. But I would say a couple things that I know I like personally want to continue to work on is first, like self-exploration. I feel like this past year, I did a lot of work on just myself in general through therapy and, what is important to me and just like exploring new sides of myself. And I want to keep doing that, especially I think once you have kids, it can be really easy to like throw all your attention into them. And I feel like I want to make sure I don't do that. And I want to take time for myself and really keep working on myself. So that is one big thing. And then kind of talking about like last year being the year of family, I want to continue with that. And that will naturally happen with having a baby and having my family coming to visit me like nonstop. But I want to go to Seabrook with Evan and have him be able to meet his new baby cousin that was just born last night. And I want to go back to Chicago with him and potentially go to Colorado to visit my sister that just moved there. So I feel like I want to, like, traveling has always been a big part of my life, but it looks and feels a lot different now. And it's a little bit scary. And I just want to like get in the habit of those things still feeling good. And it would be really easy for me to be like, oh, I'm not going to do any of that stuff this year because it feels really anxiety inducing to travel with a baby, but I want to push myself to like do those things. And I've already kind of canceled some trips. So I haven't really stayed true to that yet, but it's something that when I think about this year, I really want to make sure I prioritize.
100%. We're only for 4 or 5 days into the year. I mean, I think like 8 by the time this episode comes out. So we have some time.
We have plenty of time. We'll get there.
But that's interesting because last year I feel like I took the approach that you were taking where it was like, I just want to stay grounded because I don't know what I want right now. And it's a little bit different. You have an idea of what you want, but you don't want to kind of like set yourself to these ground rules. You're just creating this like, I generally want to move in this direction, but I want to take my time and enjoy the process. Whereas I took the opposite approach this year. I set so many goals for myself. And one thing that I do is I always try to make my goals attainable. Like, yes, would I love to make $10 million this year? Absolutely. But it's being realistic about like, okay, what did I make last year? Where were my income sources? Where do I want to realistically land? Maybe do I want to set markers for myself? And I think it's not a bad idea to also set like either quarterly or like halfway through the year check-in so you can then get a health check on everything and then adjust where you see fit.
I think that is a really good point to make your goals attainable. And I think one way to do that, especially if you have these big goals on your mind, if, like I said earlier, if you are like, I know what I'm working towards this year, I want this big promotion, I want to get engaged, I want to buy a house. If you have a big goal like that, I think it's really important to work on the process and not just be like, okay, by the end of the year, my goal is to buy a house. If that is your goal, what do you need to do starting in Q1? What do you need to do in Q2 and Q3 to set yourself up by Q4 buying that house? Is it putting a certain amount into your savings, figuring out what you're working to for a down payment, figuring out like what neighborhoods you are most interested in, what your priorities are for buying a house, like what are your must-haves versus things that you can like live without. I'd say that like figuring out what all of the steps are that you need to do and then putting like monthly goals or quarterly goals to hit those. I think that's a really important thing that a lot of people just like brush over because that's the hard work. That's where you do like the work that gets you in a position to achieve your goals. So if you have any goals that you're working towards that you're like, I don't know what the process is, like, what do I have to do to get there? How do I go about this? Send us a message. We'd love to help you.
It's so fun to back into goals and just like work through the process. Like when we were discussing our goals for the business yesterday, I didn't just put, this is my goal for the Blossom Brands Instagram. It was like, this is how I expect to achieve that goal. So it really helps paint a picture and also make you feel more confident that you're able to actually achieve it versus just shooting for the stars and just not knowing where you're going to land.
Yeah. Goal planning is like one of my hobbies. Like I really love putting together a game plan.
Planning is your hobby.
Planning is my hobby. In therapy, like all of the time I'm talking about like, okay, I need to stop trying to plan out every detail of not only my life, but everybo's life around me.
Can we share?
What?
Lane's son has his own Google Calendar.
This is true.
He has his own email.
Gotta start him young.
But like you were very smart and efficient the way you set that up.
So I was really struggling with how to manage my son Evan's schedule because I am very detailed about my calendar. So I was trying to add all of his stuff to my calendar, like feed, nap, playtime, feed, bath time, bedtime, like had all of these
mom home, dad home.
And like right now I'm kind of adjusting that as we go. So I'm like seeing what works, adjusting it. And it's not only on my calendar, but then I'm putting it on my husband's calendar and we have access to each other so that I'm like, okay, when does he have to be home? When do I have to be home? We have a nanny 2 days a week. So now I'm like, okay, how does she have transparency into things without me having to like write things out or send her a message about like the things she needs to be aware of? So I was like, problem solved.
Done.
He needs his own calendar. So he has his own calendar. I have his whole schedule on it. And then I'll add time blocks to it. Like if I know I'm going to be gone at a certain point, I'm like, mom gone, dad gone. So that like if our nanny is there, she knows the hours that I'm going to be gone and Sam's going to be gone without having for me to tell her or to have her send her a calendar invite. She has access to it. And then I can see his whole schedule without having it be overwhelmingly all over my schedule, because not only is it then on my schedule or on my calendar, but then it's like on Sanam and Logan's calendars because we all access each other. So it was just like straight chaos, but we have solved the problem.
Perfect time to tout our calendar episode that speaks to the importance of having separate calendars for literally everything.
Yes.
This exact reason of like if Evan's calendar was on yours and Logan and I would see it, and then it's hard because I'm like, okay, I don't want all of his stuff on my calendar all the time. So go listen to the calendar episode because it's really helpful in speaking to calendar optimization, because that is a small detail that should not be overlooked.
Yes. And if you have issues with the settings and you need specific advice as to like how to make it all work, because it can be a little confusing, let us know and we'll help you out.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to round us out with our action item that you actually gave me last night.
Hold on. Before we jump into that, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Okay. So when you think back to the full year, what would you say your number one either podcast you started listening to or book that you read would be for the year? I know that's a tough one because you've consumed so much content this past year. So I want to know like what stands out to you as like that was the top of the top.
Well, I wrapped Goodreads with 42 bucks.
Oh my gosh, look at you.
I didn't meet my goal of 50, but that's okay.
That's okay.
I made a goal of 45 this year. I have my top podcast ready to go.
What is it?
I listened to it the last week of the year.
Monday through Sunday?
No. Mel Robbins' Let Them Theory.
Okay.
It is so good. I sent it to you. I know you liked it too. But basically, it's talking about the importance of like, if someone is bugging you, annoying you, you want to jump in and help them, save them, just let them. It makes your life so much easier because like you wanting or you getting aggravated is a sign of you wanting to control things, and you don't need to control everything. And that is such a big lesson I'm trying to learn and adapt to my own life.
Yeah, I listened to that too and I loved that episode. I sent it to my mom and my sister and so many people loved it too. That was a really good one. Go listen to that. Would you like Mel Robbins in general? Was this like your podcast of the year?
Yeah, outside of ours, I really loved her, the way she communicates on her episode.
Yeah, she's very blunt and just straightforward. No BS, no sugarcoating, just like says it how it is.
Yeah. What was yours? Favorite podcast or book of the year?
A podcast that I started listening to that I really liked. And I'm very slim with the amount of podcasts I listen to. I don't listen to like a whole bunch of different shows. I have like 4 or 5 that I rotate between.
Yeah.
But one that like I added to the list that has stayed consistent is Soul on Fire by, I think it's called, Soul on Fire by The Balanced Blonde.
Mm-hmm.
And I really have enjoyed her show.
What's it about?
It's
with
like
wellness?
Yeah, wellness, spirituality, astrology. It's like she kind of like dives into a lot of like deep realms, and it's just like really fascinating to me. She has a lot of interesting guests and people that just like talk about things I've never really heard of or explored before. So it's just like opened my mind up to a lot of like different ideas and different ways of thinking about things. And kind of on that in that same realm, I read a book called The Old Souls Guidebook that I actually listened to the author of it on her podcast. And I just really loved that book. It's probably not for everyone because it's like about reincarnation and like your soul and all of the different soul lives that you've lived. And that's just like a whole world that I'm really fascinated by right now.
Wait, you should read Many Lives, Many Masters.
What is it?
Many Lives, Many Masters.
Huh, okay.
Same vibe.
Okay.
Our whole family read it.
Okay.
It's fascinating.
I need to like start reading books that have to do with other types of things. I feel like the books I've been reading just like haven't been really doing much for me. So I'll try to give that one a shot.
I also want to mention that I also read my favorite book of the year, the last week of the year, which was Never Split the Difference, which is all about negotiation skills. It's from this former FBI agent who did not have the same education and background as all the other agents. And he was educating everyone on his tips. And I thought I was just going to be super basic things.
Yeah.
Because really, how much goes into negotiation? No, a lot goes into negotiation. And it is fascinating.
Interesting.
Highly recommend that.
Okay, good to know. Well, I'd say one of the action items to take away from this episode is first go and identify also your top content from this past year and what you want to bring into the next year. And also like what is new content you want to be consuming that you haven't already?
My action item that I want to share is one that you advised me to do last night that I actually am very excited to do. But when you told me to do it, I was super anxious.
What did I
Deleting email off my phone.
That was a good one.
Because I struggle with checking my email after hours. And I will say, I probably will delete it off my phone. Like it'll be a daily deletion because I always bop. So I need to be checking email on the go.
Yeah.
But I will probably delete it around like 5 p.m. Pacific because I finish work around 3 p.m. Pacific because I start at 7 a.m. But deleting it off my phone so I actually have no possibility of being able to check my email after 5 p.m.
So I would say that for people listening, identify what it is that you need to delete off of your phone, either for a week or just like at certain hours of the day. Is it Instagram? Is it TikTok? Is it Gmail? Is it Slack? Like what is it that like triggers your anxiety that you feel like you spend too much time on? And I think that is something we need to do a full nother episode about is boundaries with technology. That's also something that was huge for me this past year and maybe the year prior, but this past year specifically.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten a lot harder to contact Lane.
Yeah. I'm on Do Not Disturb probably like 20 out of 24 hours of the day.
Yeah, you are.
And
Logan is afraid to hit that double thing for you. I hit it so comfortably. I'm like, no, contact her. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of Monday through Sunday. We're so excited to kick off the year together. It's going to be a really good one. As TikTok says, 2024 is giving summer of 2016 energy. So I hope that's the energy we all carry into the year because summer of 2016 was definitely great for me. What about you? Do you remember?
No.
Okay, that's fine. Anyways, we will see you on next week's episode. Thank you again for tuning in. And if you like this episode, we would be so grateful if you could just comment on our latest Instagram post, letting us know what your favorite part was, because everything that you guys like to hear fuels us to choose our episode topics. And we want to make sure we're delivering the content that you want to see. So with that being said, have a great rest of your week. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Monday through Sunday. If you're building a career, a business, or any relationships, we know your time is valuable, so thank you for spending it with us.
With that in mind, we would be so grateful if you can spare 2 minutes to rate and review this podcast. Your reviews help spread the message to more people that work doesn't have to suck.
By the way, if you're looking for your community, join us on Instagram and TikTok at Monday through Sunday Pod. We're all about connecting our like-minded listeners together. Let us know if there's anything you want us to talk about by sending us a DM. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you again, and we'll talk to you on the next episode.